Welcome to This Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive shift happening right now in the corporate world. We're moving way past the hype cycle and into actual deployment, demystifying how to actively apply AI in a complex enterprise environment. We aren't just talking about basic chatbots today. Oh no, we are talking about moving from language models all the way to automated enterprise actions. If you've ever wondered how AI genuinely integrates with highly structured domains like cybersecurity, identity management, and program management, well, you're in exactly the right place.
We've got 5 steps on our journey today. 1. The limits of language models. 2. Grounding AI with RAG. 3. Copilots as human-centered AI assistants. 4. AI agents and automated workflows. And 5. The enterprise AI architecture. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The limits of language models and foundation capabilities. To understand the foundation, let's look at the large language model, or LLM. I want you to think of an LLM as a highly capable but completely isolated new hire. They've got a brilliant vocabulary. They've literally read the entire internet, but they don't know a single thing about how your specific company actually runs. There's a stark contrast between capability and context here. LLMs are fantastic at summarizing weekly project updates, drafting steering committee reports, or classifying security events. But they completely lack access to your organization's private data because, well, they're trained on the public internet, not your proprietary cloud infrastructure. Because of this isolation, they lack guaranteed accuracy. They might provide incomplete, outdated, or completely unsupported answers, a phenomenon we know all too well as hallucination. That is exactly why an LLM alone is simply not enough for the enterprise. You wouldn't let a brand new hire make executive decisions on day one without reading your internal company policies, and you absolutely shouldn't let an isolated AI do it either.
Section 2. Grounding AI with RAG, connecting knowledge.
So how do we solve that massive data isolation problem? We give that brilliant new hire the company handbook. We do that through Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. Instead of asking an LLM to answer only from its general public training data, a RAG system first searches approved enterprise information. This means turning your internal architecture documents, incident records, standard operating procedures, and JIRA tickets into highly searchable data points, often using vector embeddings. The system retrieves that highly specific private context and feeds it to the AI just before it generates an answer. This ensures the AI isn't just taking a wild guess. It's strictly anchored to your approved organizational knowledge.
Imagine a program leader asks, "What are the open dependencies affecting the IAM rollout?" The RAG system doesn't make up a generic project management answer. It seamlessly steps through a very specific flow. First, it takes the user question. Next, it searches your approved knowledge bases, like risk registers and meeting notes. Then, it retrieves the relevant info and generates a grounded answer. But critically, in step 5, it shows its source. In a corporate environment, a black box answer is an absolute liability. Citing specific sources and providing the exact evidence is what transforms AI from a consumer toy into a compliant, trustworthy enterprise tool.
Whether you're in cybersecurity checking incident threat playbooks, or you're in identity and access management explaining complex entitlement policies, RAG is what turns generic AI into a highly specialized department expert. In IAM, for example, untangling years of legacy user permissions and nested groups can take a human hours of manual investigation, but a grounded AI can retrieve and explain those specific access paths instantly. Even in program management, it can immediately retrieve project milestones and dependencies from a sea of scattered documentation. It's no longer a generic assistant. It's your specialized in-house expert.
All right, Section 3, Copilots, our human-centered AI assistants.
Now that our AI actually has the company knowledge and context, we're moving from a system you just query to a system that actively works alongside you at your desk. A copilot improves human capability. It does not remove human accountability. Take a moment to really absorb that philosophy, because it's the single most crucial rule of enterprise AI. The copilot is designed to do the heavy lifting of data processing, but you, the human professional, remain absolutely responsible for the final decision. From a legal, security, and compliance perspective, an AI cannot take the blame for a faulty security patch or an unauthorized access grant. The human must always be the final gatekeeper. Ultimately, you own the signature.
Across various enterprise domains, copilots are actively processing vast amounts of information to support your workflows. In cybersecurity, a copilot can correlate threats. This means taking disparate signals from your firewall, your endpoint detection software, and your email filters, and weaving them into one cohesive narrative for the human analyst to review. In IAM and PAM, it can summarize thousands of access certifications and highlight privilege risks or specific segregation of duties conflicts before a manager hits approve. In program management, it drafts tedious status reports and flags overdue actions. The AI does all the heavy preparation, but it intentionally leaves the final sign-off entirely in your hands.
Moving on to Section 4. AI agents and automated workflows executing tasks. What if we want to go even further? We're upgrading from an assistant who gives you advice to a system that actually has the keys to execute tasks. An AI agent is a system that can pursue a goal, plan steps, use tools, and complete multi-step tasks within defined boundaries. Now, agents introduce incredible speed and efficiency into an enterprise, but naturally, they also introduce much greater risk. This is because they actively pull levers. By utilizing APIs, they write back into your systems. They can automatically route tickets, isolate compromised servers, or change configuration settings. They don't just talk, they actually do.
Let's look at an AI agent managing a security incident to see how this orchestration works. The agent handles the tedious, time-consuming legwork of steps 1 through 4. It reads the alert from your monitoring tools, collects the affected asset details, retrieves the relevant historical playbooks, and drafts an investigation summary. By handling all this heavy data collection, the agent drastically reduces the mean time to respond. It prepackages a highly informed decision for the analyst. But critically, at step 5, it stops. It waits for human approval before taking a disruptive action. It brings the workflow 90% of the way there, securely and safely.
Finally, Section 5, the Enterprise AI Architecture, focusing on security and governance.
As AI gets smarter and gains more autonomy, moving from LLMs to copilots and agents, our governance and architecture must get correspondingly stronger. We cannot run highly capable agents on a fragile foundation built for a simple chatbot. Because agents interact deeply with your production environment, strict boundaries are required. Clear permissions, data controls, failure handling, and continuous human oversight. Unalterable audit logs are particularly vital here. If an agent makes a mistake or executes a flawed workflow, you must be able to forensically prove exactly what data it looked at and what logic it followed to reach that conclusion. These are absolute necessities, folks, not just nice-to-haves.
So, what's the formula here? True enterprise value equals trusted knowledge, plus capable models, plus secure tools, plus governed workflows, plus accountable people. True enterprise value doesn't come from just buying a capable foundational model. Honestly, an isolated chatbot provides very little return on investment. Real, measurable enterprise transformation happens when you orchestrate all these elements together. And crucially, if any one of these pillars fails, if your data isn't trusted, or your tools aren't secure, or your workflows lack governance, or your people aren't accountable, the entire enterprise value of the system collapses. It requires the complete equation.
As you map out your own enterprise AI journey, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. The future belongs to leaders who understand not just the technology, but the boundaries of that technology. You know what AI can say, but do you know what your AI is allowed to do? Ensure your governance always matches your ambition. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this gives you a clear, structured blueprint for turning language into real enterprise action. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.